My heart pounded as I stared at the computer screen, a costume site glaring back with options I couldn't stomach. Superheroes? Lame. Monsters? Overdone. The annual party was 2 days away, and my parents' chairs of the damn thing were breathing down my neck. No more faking sick. No more tired suit-and-tie salesman shtick. Spectacular, Mom had demanded, tossing me $1,000 like a gauntlet. I clicked through pages, panic rising, until a single image stopped me cold. A girl, radiant, confident, everything I wasn't. Could I? The thought hit like a shockwave, thrilling and terrifying. Dress as a girl? My fingers hovered over the keyboard, shame and curiosity wrestling in my chest. What kind of boy even considers this? The thought sent a thrill through me, equal parts nerves and excitement. I dove deeper, researching everything I'd need. Padding for curves, breast forms, the works. But what kind of girl? A prim housewife? A playful schoolgirl? A glamorous showgirl? Mom's words spectacular echoed in my mind. I decided to go all in, to build a foundation so convincing I could choose the details later. Basics first. I bookmarked sites, printed tips, and ordered everything from corsets to hip pads, my heart racing as I clicked confirm. The catalog I snagged became my guide. I pored over sizing charts, scribbled measurements, and even made a trip to an art store for extra supplies, the cashier's curious glance making me flush. Back home, I finalized my orders, each click feeling like a step into uncharted territory. I'd never done anything like this before, and the scale of it hit me. I couldn't pull it off alone. I needed an ally, someone I could trust to keep quiet. My second cousin Avery, 2 years older and always up for a challenge, was my only shot. I called her, my voice shaky, and drove to her place, the catalog clutched in my hand. Sitting on her bedroom floor, I spilled my plan. She was going to the party too, so she got the stakes. When I showed her the sites I'd bookmarked, her eyes widened. "With this stuff," she said, leaning back, "you could wear anything, even a bikini." I laughed, brushing it off too cold, too exposed, but she was already digging through a stack of magazines. "Wait, I've got something," she said, pulling out a glossy page. The girl in the picture was stunning, all confidence and elegance. I swallowed hard, doubt creeping in. There was no way I could look like that. But Avery's grin was unwavering. "When your stuff arrives, we'll make it work," she said, tearing out the picture and pressing it into my hand. Driving home, I stole glances at the image, my mind wrestling with the impossible. If I even got close to that, it'd be a knockout. My parents would be floored, and I'd never hear another word about costumes. This was my last year at this ridiculous summer party anyway, some quirky tradition their club had held forever, not even tied to Halloween. I didn't get why it mattered so much, but it did to them, and this time, I'd play along. 2 weeks later, packages started arriving, and Mom stacked them in my room without prying. By the third day, everything was there. I locked my door, heart pounding, and tore into the boxes. The breast forms looked unnervingly real, the corset stiff and daunting, the padding oddly lifelike. I followed the instructions, fumbling at first, and when I stepped in front of the mirror, I froze. From the neck down, I was a girl curves, waist, the whole deal. A hairy girl, sure, but the shape was there. Maybe Avery was onto something. I stuffed everything back into the boxes, locked them in my car's trunk, and called her. That Friday night, we barricaded ourselves in her bedroom. I slipped into the gear again, the padding and corset transforming me under her watchful eye. She took measurements, then fixed me with a serious look. "You've got to shave, everything. If you want this to work, you can't look like a Sasquatch." It made sense, so I changed back, left the costume at her place, and promised to return the next day, hairless. Saturday morning was a battle with a razor. I nicked my legs a few times, wincing, but when I pulled on my jeans, the fabric felt rough against my smooth skin, a strange new sensation. By afternoon, I was back at Avery's, her parents conveniently out her mom at a friend's, her dad at the driving range. We locked her door, and I stood there, self-conscious in my underwear. Avery handed me a pair of pale pink panties, insisting I start from scratch. In her bathroom, I swapped them on, the fit so seamless it unnerved me. Back in her room, she laced me into the corset, the pressure reshaping my waist, and slid the breast forms into place. I glanced down, boobs, hips, the works. I looked like a girl, no trace of the boy I was. "Let's do your hair," Avery said, grabbing gel and rollers. I sat still as she worked, her fingers quick and sure, transforming my messy mop into something softer, more deliberate. Still in rollers, I wrestled on pantyhose, her coaching me through the delicate process. The sheer fabric felt electric against my skin, a secret thrill I didn't dare admit. Then she held up a dress, simple but stylish, like something I'd seen girls at school wear. I shrugged, letting her guide it over my head. She zipped it up, stepping back with a gasp. "You've got a killer figure," she said, her voice tinged with awe. I caught my reflection in her mirror, and for a moment, I didn't recognize myself. The boy who'd been dreading this party was gone, replaced by someone new, someone who might just steal the show. The vanity in Avery's room became my next battleground, a cluttered shrine to the art of transformation. She sat me down, her hands steady as she guided me through the maze of makeup. Foundation smoothed my skin, erasing the roughness of my jaw. A dusting of powder followed, then a whisper of pale eyeshadow that made my eyes seem wider, softer. Blusher carved out cheekbones I didn't know I had, and dark eyeliner sharpened my gaze into something unfamiliar. I watched, mesmerized, as my face morphed in the mirror, each layer peeling away the boy I'd always been. Avery removed the rollers from my hair, brushing it out until waves cascaded over my shoulders, as lush and feminine as hers. She handed me a pair of low heels, and I wobbled into them, feeling the shift in my balance. Then came the lipstick, a bold red that sealed the illusion. I stared at my reflection, my breath catching. I didn't just look different, I looked like a girl who could have been my sister, a stranger with my eyes, but none of my edges. Avery clipped sparkling earrings onto my lobes and fastened a delicate necklace around my throat, its cool weight grounding me. We stood side by side, her grin wide. "We need a name for this new girl," she said. "Any ideas?" I shrugged, still dazed. "I had a friend in high school, Lauren. You look so much like her, it's eerie. She's gone now, but I bet she'd be cool with you borrowing her name." I nodded, the name settling over me like a second skin. "Lauren." She handed me a small purse, and I frowned. "What's this for?" "You didn't think you could just show up to the party without practice, did you?" Avery's tone was teasing but firm. "Walking, moving, using your hands, it's all different. And we need to try on the outfit. Make sure it fits. Sizes can be weird, and we've got to get shoes, jewelry, the works. The best way to do it is to go out as you are." My stomach lurched. "Just this once?" I asked, clinging to hope. She laughed. "Once? Lauren, if you want to blow their minds like you said, you'll need every weekend from now till the party." I gripped the purse, frozen, until she opened her bedroom door and tugged me toward the hallway. We were headed for the back door, my car keys jangling in my hand, when my uncle strode into the kitchen. My heart stopped, but Avery didn't miss a beat. "This is my friend Lauren," she said, her smile bright. He shook my hand, his grip firm, no flicker of recognition in his eyes. "Heading to the mall," Avery added, pulling me along. I stumbled after her, my pulse hammering as we slid into my car. "He didn't have a clue," she crowed, giggling. "I almost died back there," I muttered, my hands shaky on the wheel. "That's what panty liners are for, silly," she shot back, smirking. The mall loomed ahead, a fluorescent-lit gauntlet I wasn't ready for. I hesitated, but Avery's voice was steady. "You saw yourself in the mirror. You've got this." Swallowing my fear, I followed her inside, her confidence a lifeline. She led me straight to an upscale lingerie shop, the kind that screamed money. "The corset you're wearing works," she said, "but it's not right for the dress. We need something thinner, maybe in white and flesh tone, to cinch you tighter. I nodded, trusting her instincts, and she picked out 2 satin-trimmed corsets. In the changing booth, I swapped for the flesh tone one, its grip even fiercer, sculpting my waist into an hourglass. I paid, clutching the shop's glossy bag, and we moved on to a dress boutique known for designer knockoffs. Avery zeroed in on the gown from the magazine photo, but she didn't stop there, piling 3 more dresses into my arms. In the changing room, the first dress, a shimmering number, was a disaster, clinging in all the wrong places. The second, a sleek purple gown, fit like a dream but clashed with my skin. The third was a puzzle, a glittery white bodysuit paired with a sheer gold-trimmed skirt. I stepped into the bodysuit, Avery fastening the skirt at my waist, the long slit revealing a flash of leg. In the mirror, I was stunned cleavage, curves, legs that went on forever. I wasn't just a girl, I was a showstopper. "Step onto the pedestal," Avery urged, pointing to a lit platform. I complied, the lights catching the sequins, and caught my reflection just as a woman walked in. "Not many girls can pull that off," she said, smiling. "You're lucky to have that figure." I bit back a laugh, nodding as I retreated to change. We bought the dress, then hit a shoe store for white satin heels and a matching handbag, Avery promising we'd add gold sequins ourselves. Next, she steered me toward a department store. "You need more than one outfit," she said, as if it were obvious. "You can't wear the same dress every weekend. We'll get panties, bras, a waist nipper, some skirts, blouses, dresses, flats, the basics." By the time we left, I had 2 packs of panties, 2 bras, a slip, 3 skirts, 4 blouses, 2 dresses, and black and white flats, my budget dwindling to $250. I thought we were done, but Avery had other plans. From the moment I'd left her house as Lauren, a quiet fear of being exposed had simmered, but it was tempered by the knowledge that this was temporary, just for the party. Still, when Avery mentioned her next idea, my blood ran cold. "A beauty salon," she said, her eyes gleaming. "Hair, nails, the full deal." Panic flared, but she relented, saying I could wait until the party weekend. Relief washed over me. I wasn't ready for that plunge. She did, however, drag me into a makeup store, announcing to the clerk that I needed a fantastic look and wanted a lesson. My heart sank as I washed off Avery's morning work, the faint stubble on my face exposed. The clerk glanced at it, excused herself, and I braced for disaster, certain she'd call security. Instead, she returned with another woman or so, I thought. Her sharp eyes and subtle nod told me she saw through me, but her smile was kind, and she leaned in, ready to teach me the art of becoming Lauren. The makeup artist's hands moved with quiet precision, smoothing a light cream across my face to mask any trace of stubble. She worked methodically, layering foundation, powder, and delicate touches of color, eyeshadow, blush, eyeliner that softened my features into something undeniably feminine. Avery stood nearby, her gasps of delight growing louder with each step. When the artist finished, I turned to the mirror and froze. The face staring back was radiant, almost glowing, with high cheekbones and wide, expressive eyes. "Elfin," the artist called it, her voice warm. "You've got a perfect canvas small nose, great bone structure. You're a natural." I paid, my hands trembling slightly, and stepped out of the shop with a strange new confidence. With the padding, the corset, the makeup, I felt like I could walk into any room as Lauren and hold my own. Avery and I grabbed lunch at a bustling mall cafe, the clatter of plates and hum of voices fading as I focused on her pointers. Keep your elbows in, cross your legs at the ankles. No one gave me a second glance, or at least not the kind that saw through me. Back at Avery's house, we hauled our shopping bags to my car, planning to slip inside unnoticed, but her mom was there, phone pressed to her ear. My heart skipped, but Avery breezed through it. "Mom, this is Lauren," she said, casual as ever. Her mom smiled, barely looking up, and continued her call. "Your apartment's ready, honey. she told Avery. Furniture's all set. Your dad and I will bring the dishes later. Maybe Lauren can help with some stuff? Avery shot me a glance, then nodded. Lauren's got an appointment, but I'll call my cousin to help. The lie was seamless, and when her mom left, I bolted to Avery's room, scrubbing off the makeup until my face was raw. I swapped the dress for my own jeans and shirt, brushing my hair back to its usual mess, and drove home, the bags of girl clothes locked in my trunk. There was no way I could bring them inside. Mom would sniff them out in a heartbeat, and my secret would unravel. 2 days later, Avery called with a bombshell. "Move in with me," she said, her voice bright but serious. Her parents had paid a year's rent on her new apartment to ease her into independence, and after a few days alone, she'd pitched the idea of a roommate to them. Me, specifically. Since I was family, her parents didn't blink, and mine, already dropping hints about their empty nest plans, agreed. I was out of high school, biding time before college, so it made sense. But Avery and I shared a deeper truth. Living together meant I could be Lauren more often, honing every detail of this new identity. The next day, Dad and I loaded my stuff into 2 cars and moved me into Avery's place. Once he left, I dragged the bags of girl clothes to my new bedroom, my heart racing at the thought of this double life taking shape. It took 4 days to settle in, our parents popping by daily to check on us, their fussing a mix of love and overreach. By the time the weekend loomed, Avery was ready to push me further. "Movie and dinner Friday night," she proposed. Then Saturday, we hit my favorite spot to cruise. I agreed to the first, but balked at the second. "I'm not ready for that," I said, my voice tight. "I don't know anything about guys or if I even want to." She didn't push, just nodded, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. Friday afternoon, Avery introduced me to the luxury of a bubble bath. I shaved my body again, the razor gliding over now familiar skin, and slathered on the scented lotion she'd left in my room. In my bedroom, I stepped into the special panty that erased any trace of maleness, its fit both comforting and surreal. As I pulled on a pair of soft cotton panties, Avery burst in, unfazed. "Perfect timing," she said, holding up a pair of breast forms. "Since you're skipping the corset tonight, we're gluing these on. It'll make the bra feel right, look right." I hesitated, eyeing the adhesive. "They'll come off, won't they? I can't just have boobs all the time." She grinned. "Why not?" "I do." "You're a girl," I shot back. "And you will be once these are on," she said, waving the bottle. "It says they're removable, so relax." I stood still as she pressed them to my chest, the weight settling in, foreign but oddly natural. She left me to dress, and I tackled my makeup, mimicking the makeup artist's steps. The result wasn't flawless, but it was close better than I'd expected. The bra was a nightmare, its hooks and straps a puzzle I solved only by fastening it backward and spinning it around, the breast forms jiggling in a way that made me laugh despite myself. I skipped the dress this time, opting for a white and tan checkered skirt and a crisp white blouse. The skirt shorter than I remembered, hitting mid-thigh. The waist nipper hugged me tight, and I slipped into white flats, feeling lighter without the corset's grip. Avery styled my hair in soft waves, and I added lipstick and earrings, the mirror showing a Lauren who was starting to feel real. Avery, in a similar skirt and blouse, looked me over and nodded. "Let's go." At the movie theater, no one spared us a glance, the crowd's indifference a quiet victory. Dinner at a downtown cafe was trickier. Avery coached me on every move, from how to sit with my knees together to how to gesture with smaller, softer motions. Halfway through our meal, a new challenge hit. I needed the restroom. Panic flickered, but Avery's calm voice grounded me. "You've got the panty. You'll have to sit anyway. Just go." In the stall, I tested the panty's design, marveling at how it worked, how it made me feel so close to the real thing. It was a rush, a secret triumph that carried me back to the table with a new swagger. Back at the apartment, we parted to our rooms. Undressing, I realized the breast forms were still glued on, and with no clue how to remove them, I slipped into a soft nightgown. The weight of them a strange comfort as I drifted to sleep. Lauren wasn't just a costume anymore. She was a part of me, growing bolder with every step, and I wasn't sure where she'd take me next. Slipping the nightgown over my head, I decided to keep the special panty on, its snug fit a quiet reminder of Lauren's presence. I padded out to the living room, the breast forms shifting slightly under the soft fabric, and settled onto the couch to catch the news. Avery stayed in her room, probably texting or unpacking, leaving me alone with the hum of the TV and my swirling thoughts. An hour later, I shuffled to bed, the weight of the forms and the panty lulling me into a strange, dream-filled sleep where Lauren's face flickered in and out of focus. Morning came too fast, and Avery was already up, pulling on jeans and a t-shirt. I opted for a skirt and blouse, the now familiar ritual of becoming Lauren settling over me. "You should get some jeans," Avery said over breakfast, her tone practical. "Girls don't wear skirts every day." She was right, and after we ate, we headed to a nearby store. I picked out a pair of snug jeans, khaki slacks, and some shorts, the cashier's bored glance reassuring me that I passed as just another girl shopping with her friend. Back at the apartment, my heart sank. Avery's mom was waiting inside, her arms crossed, a curious glint in her eye. "Hi, Mom," Avery chirped, but her mom's gaze locked onto me. "Lauren, are you staying here now?" she asked, her voice sharp. "I couldn't help but notice clothes on your bed, and since Tyler's supposed to be here—" The air thickened, my breath shallow as her eyes narrowed. She knew. Avery tried to pivot, babbling about unpacking, but her mom cut through it. "Tyler, is that you? Why are you dressed like a girl?" "Avery, what's going on? Tell me the truth." There was no dodging it. We sat her down, my voice unsteady as I explained the costume party, the plan to go all out, Avery's help in making me Lauren. Her mom's stare didn't waver, skepticism etched into her face. With a nod from Avery, I slipped into my room and changed into the white sequined dress we'd bought for the party, lacing up the corset and stepping into the glittering heels. When I walked out, her mom's jaw tightened, her eyes scanning me from head to toe in that piercing, maternal way. I thought she might keel over, but she held steady, turning to Avery with a look I couldn't read. I retreated to change, peeling off the dress and corset, down to the sheer panties when her mom barged in. I froze, the breast forms exposed, the panties cleft faintly visible. Her eyes widened, but she recovered fast. "I'm sorry, honey, I shouldn't have walked in. Get dressed, I'll wait with Avery." I threw on jeans and a blouse, my hands shaking, and joined them in the living room. Sitting beside Avery, I answered her mom's questions about the panty, the breast forms, Avery's lessons in walking and talking like a girl. Avery chimed in, recounting our mall trips, movie nights, and dinners, all without a hitch. Then her mom started giggling, a sound that grew into full-blown laughter. "Your mother," she said, wiping her eyes, "always wanted a daughter, and now she's got one her son." I bristled, insisting it was just for the party, that I'd ditch Lauren the day after and never look back. Her mom snorted, grinning. "3 months of this? Dressing every day? You'll get used to it, maybe even like it. Your parents are going to lose it when they see you." She promised not to spill, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "I can't wait to see your mom's face." As she headed out, she paused. With Tyler here, I wasn't worried about boys. But with Lauren, no boys allowed in this apartment, got it? I opened my mouth to protest, but Avery's sharp glance silenced me. The door closed, and we burst into laughter, the absurdity of it all crashing over us. Her mom thought I'd bring a boy home. We cleaned the apartment, giggling over her mom's reaction, speculating about my own mom's inevitable meltdown. Avery pushed me to keep dressing as Lauren Daly, saying it was the only way to perfect it. That night, despite my protests, she dragged me to her favorite dance club downtown. I stuck to our table, sipping soda, waving off every guy who asked me to dance. Avery fumed as we drove home near midnight. The next morning, she let me have it. Damn it, Lauren, I liked that guy, she snapped, pacing. All you had to do was dance with his friend. But no, you sat there like a statue, I stammered, trying to explain I'd never been into guys, never even thought about it. Look in the mirror, she shot back. You're a girl now. Look, smell, walk, talk. Guys are gonna hit on you. It's not about sleeping with them, just being nice. You'd be surprised how easy it is to lead them around. I pushed back, reminding her I'd only been Lauren for 2 weeks, barely wrapping my head around it. She softened, admitting I had a point, then dropped a new bombshell. That guy I like? He and his buddy are coming over today to take us to a show. Be nice, smile, wear the plaid skirt, show off those legs. I retreated to my room, washing up and pulling on the plaid skirt with a white shell top and flats. My makeup was steadier now, my hair falling in soft waves thanks to Avery's tips. We waited on the couch, nerves twisting in my gut. When the guys arrived, I met Ryan, the same guy who'd asked me to dance. He smiled, oblivious to my inner turmoil. As we headed out, Avery's phone rang. Mom wants us to stop by her place, she said, her voice tight. She sounded urgent. You guys cool with that? Ryan and his friend shrugged, and I slid into the back seat, Ryan beside me. My heart pounded. Her mom seeing me with a guy would send her into a tailspin, and there was nothing I could do but brace for the chaos. The car ride to Avery's mom's house was a blur, Ryan's easy chatter pulling me out of my nervous spiral. He had a warm laugh, a way of asking questions that made me forget, for a moment, the plaid skirt hugging my thighs, or the fact that I was, technically, on a date. But when we pulled up, Avery bolted inside, only to return with her mom, her face pale. Lauren, your dad's been in an accident at work, she said, her voice tight. Mom needs us to take her to the hospital. My stomach dropped. Ryan and I scooted over, Avery's mom sliding in beside me, and Connor, behind the wheel, sped toward the hospital. As we spilled out of the car, I caught Avery's eye, then her mom's. My mother was inside, and with Dad hurt, this was the worst possible moment for her to discover Lauren. I wanted to stay outside, to hide, but Dad needed me. Avery's mom squeezed my hand, her grip steady, and we walked in together, the hospital's sterile hum swallowing my footsteps. Mom stood by a bed in the emergency room, her face drawn but calm. Go to her, Lauren, Avery's mom whispered, and I crossed the room, my flats clicking softly. Mom looked up, her eyes flickering over me. Your father was on a scaffold that collapsed, she said, her voice steady but tired. He wasn't wearing his safety harness, after all those safety classes. The doctor says it's a broken leg and some bruising, but he'll be okay. She reached for my hand, her fingers warm, and I stepped to Dad's side. He was out cold, the meds pulling him under, but his chest rose and fell evenly. I brushed his forehead, planting a soft kiss on his cheek, his warmth reassuring under my touch. Mom tugged me back toward the waiting area, where Avery, her mom, Connor, and Ryan stood. He's going to be okay, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Mom gestured to the guys. This is Lauren's mother, Karen. Avery jumped in, naming them Connor and Logan, though I knew she meant Ryan. Connor offered help, his concern genuine, but Mom waved it off. Lauren and I should stay a bit, just to be sure. I've got my car, so I'll get her home. Ryan stepped closer, his smile soft. I'll stay, ma'am. I can grab lunch if you need. Mom nodded, grateful, and he trailed us as we returned to Dad's bedside. Sitting by Dad's bed, Mom's voice cut through the beeping monitors. You're quite lovely, she said, her tone warm but pointed. I flushed. Thanks, Mom. Exactly what I wanted to hear. Why aren't you shocked to see me like this? She smiled, almost amused. The credit card bill came 3 days ago. Charges from that lingerie store. I get catalogs for the ones you always peeked at, plus dresses, shoes, a makeup shop. I knew you were planning something big for the party, and with Avery involved, I figured she was coaching you, probably having you dress up to practice. But I didn't expect a young man. My face burned. Mom, it's not like that. Avery wanted to hang out with Connor, and Ryan's his friend, so I got dragged along. You don't think I'm... She cut me off, her eyes softening. Ryan's a nice boy, and it's clear why he's drawn to you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Before I could protest, a nurse approached. Your husband's headed to surgery. It'll be a while, and he'll be out of it until morning. Maybe come back later? Mom hesitated, but agreed, and she drove Ryan and me to our family home instead of Avery's apartment. Over a quiet lunch at the kitchen table, Ryan's gaze lingered, his easy smile making my nerves jangle. I was already juggling too much, being Lauren, Dad's accident, Mom knowing without a guy's attention, complicating things. Mom hovered, never leaving us alone, except when Ryan and I washed dishes. He was tall, with short brown hair and a polite charm that I could see winning over a girl, not me, but someone. His calm demeanor was almost too perfect, like he'd stepped out of a rom-com. Avery, Connor, and her mom arrived an hour later, and while our moms retreated to the study, we sprawled in the family room. Connor asked about Dad, then if we were still up for the show. Avery checked with our moms, who gave the green light, but suggested we freshen up first. Back at the apartment, I swapped the plaid skirt for a sleek black dress, the routine of becoming Lauren now almost second nature. Dinner and the show were a whirlwind. Ryan's light kiss on my cheek at the end caught me off guard. But it was gentle, nothing more. Collapsing onto the apartment couch, I let the day sink in. What started as a costume had spiraled into a crash course in girlhood dates, parental reveals, hospital scares. I told myself I didn't want this, but the thrill of Ryan's attention, Mom's acceptance, the ease of slipping into Lauren's skin, it was fun, even freeing. Avery and I spent hours playing with makeup and hair, giggling like kids, and for the first time, I opened up to her about how it felt, the rush of being seen as Lauren, the fear of liking it too much. She listened, her nod saying she got it, no judgment. But there was one secret I kept locked tight. The panty's hidden feature. The one that could, in theory, let me cross a line I wasn't ready to face. It was thrilling, terrifying, and absolutely off-limits, though the thought crept in once or twice, especially after Avery admitted she was a virgin but not immune to curiosity. In my room, I faced the mirror. Lauren's reflection staring back, no trace of the boy I'd been, just a nervous girl grappling with feelings I couldn't name. I loved the makeup, the skirts, the soft waves of my hair, the slick of lipstick. It scared me. Boys didn't crave this, didn't revel in it. Slipping off the panty, I felt exposed, my male body a jarring reminder of who I was supposed to be. But seeing it didn't spark the resolve I'd expected. It felt like I was spying on someone else's life. Confused, I pulled the panty back on and crawled into bed, the day's chaos swirling in my mind. By morning, I'd made a choice. Avery, can you take off the breast forms? I asked, my voice firm. She frowned but complied, the adhesive loosening with a gentle tug. I spent an hour scrubbing away Lauren makeup, hair gel, nail polish, until the boy I hadn't seen in weeks stared back from the mirror. But even as I pulled on jeans and a t-shirt, Lauren lingered, a quiet hum in my chest, whispering that 3 months was a long time, and maybe, just maybe, she wasn't done with me yet. The apartment felt like a cage as I stood in front of the mirror, my boyish reflection jarring after weeks as Lauren. Avery's stunned expression when she saw me in jeans and a t-shirt, stripped of makeup and skirts, said it all, but I brushed past her questions. I'm going out, I mumbled, grabbing her keys and heading for my mom's house. My head was a tangle of confusion and fear. Lauren wasn't just a costume anymore, and the thrill of liking her life, her clothes, her ease in the world terrified me. I needed Mom to ground me, to tell me I was still her son, still loved, even after a month of living as a girl. When she opened the door, I collapsed into her arms, sobs breaking free like a storm I couldn't control. She held me tight, guiding me to the couch, her warmth a lifeline as we sat. Words poured out, a chaotic dance of fears and half-formed thoughts. Am I a freak? A boy who likes being a girl but fights it? This wasn't about Avery, Ryan, or the party. It was about me, about whether Lauren could just vanish or if she was too real to let go. Mom stroked my hair, her touch steady as I rambled. "It's tough, isn't it?" she said, her voice soft. "Finding out something about yourself you thought was wrong." I stayed silent, my throat tight. "I had no idea what you were doing until the credit card bill, even after you moved in with Avery. But when I saw you at the hospital, I was relieved." I blinked, confused. "Relieved?" She nodded. "You always hated those parties, shutting us out of your world while we dragged you into ours. We just wanted you to feel the fun, the costumes, the music, the dancing. Dressing as a girl is a classic move, nothing new. There's no shame in it." I opened my mouth, but the words caught. "But I like it," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. Her eyes softened. "You think I'd hate you for that? You're wrong, honey. If you'd said you wanted to be a girl forever, I'd struggle, sure, but you've been a wonderful son." "I don't hate you. I don't get it, but I love you." "Can I come home?" I asked, my voice cracking. She smiled, pulling me close. "I'd love that. I miss you. You and Avery are tight, but give us a chance too. What if Lauren came back? We could see her every day, figure out what this means together." I hesitated. The idea of being Lauren at home, both thrilling and terrifying. "Avery's mom said you always wanted a daughter," I said, testing her. Mom's face hardened. "That's unfair. Yes, I wanted a girl, but I'd never force you into this. To say I wouldn't want you as you are, it hurts. You're you. If being Lauren is right, I won't stop you, even if it's hard for us. If we did, you'd just run to Avery's and we'd lose you. I'm not risking that. We'll adjust, whether we like it or not." Her words sank in, a promise of love that didn't bend to expectations. We talked for hours, untangling my fears, until she suggested I return to Avery's to change. "I'll pick you up," she said, her voice firm but kind. Back at the apartment, I told Avery everything: my confusion, my talk with Mom, my decision to move home. She listened, her usual chatter gone, her hand gripping mine. It took an hour to become Lauren again. The special panty, makeup, and a short skirt transforming me under Avery's quiet guidance. Mom arrived and we drove to the hospital, Avery's presence a steady anchor. Dad was awake, his leg in a cast suspended in a sling, the TV droning in the background. His eyes landed on me, taking in the skirt, the waves of hair, the girl I'd become. He knew. "Honey, this is Lauren," Mom said, her voice almost playful. "Let's sit and I'll explain." She recounted the party plan, my transformation, and how she'd asked me to move home to help with Dad's recovery. His first question cut through the air. "You planning to dress like that at home?" Mom and Avery nodded. I just dipped my head. He stared at the ceiling, then gave a quiet nod. I kissed his cheek, leaving a faint lipstick mark, and when he caught the scent of my perfume, he murmured, "You smell good," before drifting back to sleep. "He's tired," Mom said. "Let's get Lauren's things home." We moved everything that day, and that night I stood naked in my bedroom, letting Mom see the full extent of my transformation. I opened the door when she knocked, the special panty and breast forms on display. She gasped, then sat on the bed, her eyes wide. I let her touch the forms, explaining how they glued on, how the panty worked, every detail. When I finished, she just stared, then said, "Go to bed." From then on, I was Lauren every day, tending to Dad as he recovered. In a wheelchair, then on crutches, he never commented on my skirts or makeup, his silence a kind of acceptance. My hair grew longer, my nails neatly polished, and Mom quietly added to my wardrobe blouses, skirts, jeans, leaving them in my room without a word. Then Ryan called. Dad answered, passing me the phone with a blank look. "Boyfriend?" he teased. I needed a break, so when Ryan asked me to a show, I said yes, grinning at Dad as I hung up. "If you can dish it, I can take it," I quipped. Ryan was his usual polite self, charming Dad with his manners. The show was fun, and I felt at ease, Lauren's confidence carrying me through until we reached the front door. I saw it coming, and he didn't disappoint. 2 soft kisses, right on the lips. I bolted inside, racing to my room, stripping down and diving into bed naked, my heart racing. The kisses, the day, the life I was living as Lauren, it was all too much, too real. And as I lay there, I wondered if I could ever go back to being just a boy, or if Lauren had already claimed too much of me. The costume party was 2 days away, a deadline that pulsed with both anticipation and unease. I decided it was time to take a bold step, my first beauty salon appointment. I asked Mom to come with me, her presence a quiet anchor. That morning, the salon buzzed with chatter as I surrendered to the work's eyebrows sculpted, hair styled into glossy curls, nails polished to a soft rose, and makeup applied with an expert's precision. Mom watched, her smile warm but curious, as Lauren emerged in the mirror, sharper and more vivid than ever. At home, I locked myself in my bedroom, sinking into a lavender-scented bubble bath, the razor gliding over my skin in a now familiar ritual. I dressed with care, starting with whisper-thin white panties, sheer pantyhose, and the white corset I laced until my breath hitched. The sequined bodysuit hugged my curves, its glitter catching the light, and I fastened the sheer gold-trimmed skirt, the slit revealing a daring glimpse of leg. White satin heels, gold earrings, a rhinestone choker, and a spritz of perfume completed the transformation. I couldn't stop staring, marveling at the girl in the mirror, confident, radiant, and undeniably me. Stepping into the family room, I found Dad struggling to his feet, his crutches wobbling. His eyes widened, his voice gruff. "I can see right through that," I laughed, twirling. "It's just a bodysuit underneath, Dad, like a swimsuit." Mom's gaze softened, her voice catching. "You're exquisite, honey. I knew, but I never imagined." I frowned. "Why aren't you dressed? Aren't you coming?" Mom glanced at Dad. "We'll be there later. Go ahead, Lauren." I hesitated, but Dad waved me off. "You go. We'll catch up." The doorbell chimed, and Mom answered it. I turned to see Superman Ryan, of course, his cape fluttering. My heart skipped. I hadn't invited him, which meant Mom or Dad had meddled. Before I could process it, the bell rang again, and Avery swept in with Connor, dressed as Cinderella and her prince, their costumes sparkling under the hall light. Ryan offered his arm, and I took it, my nerves buzzing as we headed to the car, Avery and Connor trailing behind. At the party, the room pulsed with music and laughter, costumes ranging from whimsical to wild. Mom and Dad arrived an hour later, Mom as a nurse pushing Dad in a wheelchair, his patient getup complete with a fake bandage. The night was a blur of dancing and chatter, Ryan's hand warm in mine. When the costume contest came, I didn't win partly because I couldn't unmask myself. I could have revealed the boy beneath, but the thought of shedding Lauren in front of everyone felt like betraying her. She wasn't just a costume anymore. That night, Ryan and I slipped away to a quiet corner, our first real makeout session igniting sparks I hadn't expected. His kisses were gentle but hungry, and I didn't pull away. It wasn't about going further. It was about feeling wanted, seen, as Lauren. But then he vanished. 2 weeks of silence followed, and doubt crept in like a shadow. I tried to reclaim my old self, scrubbing away Lauren, pulling on boy clothes. But it felt wrong. My walk had a sway, my speech a lilt. I sat to use the bathroom without thinking, and without a bra, I felt exposed. After 3 days of this, Dad called me into his office, his face stern. "You know I miss my son," he said, leaning forward. "But since Lauren showed up, things have changed. You used to be stubborn, argumentative, but as Lauren, you're different, happier, kinder. These last few days, you've been miserable, snapping at us. If you're going to be like that, go change right now." I bristled. "You didn't like Lauren." He shook his head. "I wanted my son back, but that doesn't mean I wanted Lauren gone. You're happier as a girl, and I'd rather have a well-adjusted daughter than a surly son. What's wrong?" I couldn't tell him about Ryan, not dressed as a boy, So I mumbled, "I'll change," and fled to my room. Slipping into a skirt and blouse, I returned as Lauren and spilled it all Ryan's silence, my confusion. Dad listened, his face softening, but he had no answers. From that day, I never went back to being a boy. Life settled, Lauren's rhythm becoming my own. Ryan finally called, his voice crackling with distance. "I've been called up," he said, cryptic. "Can't say where, but I'll be out of touch." I turned to Avery, who got the scoop from Connor. Ryan, an Army reservist, was in a specialized unit, likely snipers or targeting specialists. His absence explained, I threw myself into routine, taking a file clerk job to stay busy. Work was a shock. The other girls were ruthless, their restroom chatter a mix of gossip, crude jokes, and raw talk about boyfriends and sex. It was nothing like the delicate girlhood I'd imagined, but it toughened me, teaching me to navigate their sharp edges. A month in, I saw a doctor who approved hormone therapy in seconds, writing a prescription that promised to make Lauren more than a costume. The pills worked fast, my body softening, curves forming naturally, freeing me from the breast forms. I enrolled in part-time college classes, balancing work and study, while Thursday nights with Avery became my refuge. Her gushing about Connor stung, though, a reminder of Ryan's absence. 6 months to the day since I'd last seen him, Ryan appeared on my porch, a single flower in one hand, a cane in the other, his grin weary but warm. "Air Force missed a target," he said, dodging details, but I pieced it together. Special ops, a mission gone sideways, likely overseas. Knowing he was a sniper, I didn't press, just pulled him close, overjoyed he was whole, if battered. That night, we went out, and when his hand brushed my chest, he touched real skin, not forms. The hormones had done their work, and I felt a new power in being Lauren, aware of the pull I had on him. But being a woman wasn't just about allure, it was about love, about filling a space in someone's heart they didn't know was empty. In his arms, I felt the promise of something deeper, a future where Lauren wasn't just a role, but a life. The party had been the spark, but Lauren had become the flame. As months passed, Ryan's recovery brought us closer. He opened up about his mission, the weight of decisions made in split seconds, and I shared my own journey, how Lauren had started as a dare, but became my truth. Mom and Dad adjusted, their love unwavering, though Dad's teasing about boyfriends never stopped. Avery remained my confidant, her own life with Connor a mirror to my hopes. One evening, as Ryan and I walked under a starlit sky, he stopped, his hand trembling as he pulled out a small box. "I've faced a lot," he said, his voice low, "but nothing scares me more than losing you." Inside was a ring, simple but gleaming. "Lauren, will you stay with me forever?" My heart raced, not with fear, but with certainty. I said yes, the word carrying all of Lauren's strength, all of my truth. Years later, at another summer party, I stood in a flowing white dress, Ryan beside me, our vows still fresh. The club's tradition hadn't changed, but I had. Lauren wasn't a costume or a phase, she was me, fully and fearlessly. As we danced, Mom and Dad beamed. Avery winked from the crowd. And I knew this was no longer about shocking anyone. It was about living, loving, and embracing the girl I'd always been, deep down, waiting to shine.